You're right. I am muted. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I was, aha. But we do have a cat in the background. This is Casper. He's not a big fan of being held.
Yeah, surprised you let him though.
So he's jumped down. Oh, that'll teach me to not pay attention to what I am doing. Thank you for reminding me about that. So yes, welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we're here in Searchborn. As we saw on Little Redhead's stream, our quest did not progress when Goldberry finished talking. Maybe we got too far away from her, not sure. And then Little Redhead's quest advanced on the second time. Hoping third time's the charm for Affodil here. So let's run on through while we're reviewing. So yeah, last time we were reviewing some refactoring changes. Refactoring, especially when you're not doing it tool assisted, when you're just doing it manually, can always has that risk of breaking things. And so we wanted to kind of review both the code and make sure it all made sense on second viewing, because sometimes you just need to step away, come back, and make sure it all still makes sense what you did. And we had some testing in the meantime that helped sort of legitimize the changes, and like no weird errors were being seen in the week in between. Hello, Fladach. So we followed on testing that by exploring whether one of the entries in the save file was strictly necessary. We decided it wasn't. And in fact, it would be better to not be in there at all. So we added that to the version 2 to version 3 update. And today we're going to take what we learned during that exploration and make some additional changes to that file format conversion. And so conversion code is one of those things that is what you want it to be to convert file formats as little as possible, because there's always that chance that you're going to break something or make some, you want to change file formats as little as possible. But when you do change a file format, well, that's your excuse to just make all the changes in the world, right? Well, maybe not all of them, but go ahead and make any changes you need to at that point, because you're already doing that conversion, as we are from version 2 to version 3. So we can do some cleanup here that wouldn't really have been justified on its own, because we're already changing everything in that file. Might as well change these things as well. Now, I am not going on through this on level. I've knocked it down 8 levels to level 67, so everything is still technically green to me. This is the lower end of my level, so I would still be getting experience if I was not cap level on Treebeard here. And yet it's not too difficult to just sort of waltz through, because what I really just want to do is talk to Goldberry like any sane, reasonable hobbit. That's all I need. Talk to Goldberry. The rest of this is just fluff. One of these rooms in here, and I want to say it was the room with Lilith, I had a disease on me that gave me 0 power, which as a minstrel is a little bit disconcerting. And so it makes me wonder if that's going to be a more common occurrence after they do the power rework, where power regeneration starts to matter. And that was the world I came from in World of Warcraft, where I played priests quite a lot. I have a type, and having to care about how fast you were spending that power was a thing. And can I get out of combat, or at least not be actively in combat long enough for my spirit regen to kick in, and all of that. So I would not personally mind that kind of a mechanism here in LOTRO. It certainly would be a callback to that experience. Now, maybe I'm seeing it through rose-colored history glasses, and it was really just a terrible thing. But I guess we'll find out one way or the other. Okay, Lilith and the poor reanimated dog. Am I stuck? I seem to be stuck. All right. There we go. Minstrels have so many area effect powers that I wasn't really focused on the reanimated undead dog, but that's okay. Alright, I believe this is the final chamber. Excellent. Hethringor, let's do it. I assume this plays out the same as when we were in two-person, because we had that solo duo nomenclature going on. Let's not have dread. Oh my goodness, what's going on in my inventory? I'm not sure what to do without that. That's a later problem. There are some people who are very comfortable having bags that are extremely full, and for me, if my bag doesn't have like 100 available spaces in it, I start getting antsy. Yeah. Hello, cat. Ooh, maybe I can rotate my view. There we go. Casper, I think, is like 13 pounds, which in my head is a heavier cat or bigger cat. Or he's a long cat, is what it is, and he can stretch up to from the floor and put his paw up at counter level. So there's a lot of length in there. Okay. Well, in the guise of Prince Amandir, let's do something about this. Redhead has pointed out that the LOTRO freebie for the week, this week, is free rejuvenation potions. Now, I don't use rejuvenation potions a lot, but I keep getting them and I keep saving them because, well, one, I have the room for them, and two, it's like percentage heals seem like they'll be much better the more health that I have. So would I use them at level 140 if I ever got there? Not sure. But, 3% of my health right now is way, way, way less. So I feel like saving strict percentage ones instead of these fixed ones, like this Westfold Athelos is just 2,400 to 2,600, which, it's like 10%. But do the potions scale with how much morale people get at higher levels? That I don't know. I lack a lot of knowledge about end game play, especially being over here on Treebeard. I mean, I know end game Treebeard play, it's not really the same thing. I would like Sauron to stop blowing up my feet, thank you. Okay, there we go. I didn't notice there was a fog of war. Okay. I shall pass. Alright, so we made it back to Goldberry. What a joy it is to see you. Yeah, just talk. Okay, you do your thing. I'm unfollow, it's all good. Alright, so I hear there's free stuff. I wonder if it doesn't stack with my inventory, I might not keep it, but I'll try it. Morale and power. Okay, 5 rejuvenation potions. So, heals 15% of max morale and max power. I was thinking 3% over however many minutes, but yeah. So I've got a couple. I'm going to pull them out and see if we can get some more stacks here. Okay, so 15 and... Oh no! Fool that I am, I did not have the right chest done. I think it was in my combat one. Okay, so we got 50 of those. Okay, we got 25 bound to accounts. We've got one. Okay, that's just an addition of the 50. And then another 10 that are bound to account purchased from store. That's... Goldberry, no! Don't leave me! We'll see for now. Alright. I'm closing on 30 of the cap though, so at some point these like minor morale potions of morale are going away. Yay! Okay, the Doom of Sarge Vorin. Well, Little Red had already read this, so blah blah blah. Done. Hey, Casper. Yeah, she's walking around. Oh. Casper is a sucker for people in the kitchen because he likes food. So we'll see if he comes back. Okay, so, well, having done that, and having to be talking to Ryangar, perfect. I will leave it there. And instead, travel off to Glenhelig. Okay. He's returned. Okay, so here in Glenhelig, it's currently my favorite topological location. I was really enjoying Ost, what's it called, in Mirkwood. Oh, that's gonna bug me. Okay, across the river. Oskalad. I was really enjoying Oskalad because you can get really high up. I got what it says it too, Oskalad in chat. You can get really high up in the towers. It's nice. You can just see the world spread out below you. But I will say, Glenhelig also has elevation and it also experiences daylight, which I'm a fan of. In game, at least. Hey. Alright, Casper is going to join us on screen. Okay, so, you know, this bog lurker, friendly though he is a little close. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and take a look at our plugin code, which is today, as many days recently, I've been using Visual Studio Code, and for our source control, I've been using the fork program available at fork.dev. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at where were we. Now, I just did some to-do file changes, just reorganizing things a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and commit that, and now we have a fresh working directory. Little Redhead points out in chat that on her stream, she was mentioning music, and is now going off to the Madam House to go check and see what's available there. Awesome. Well, as a hunter, she's probably already there. Okay, so I would like to finish up this whole 2.0 to 3.0 experiment. Maybe get really close to releasing this thing, especially releasing it this month. I wanted it done in Q1, and we're still technically there. And so these are some of the final remaining thoughts. And then there were a bunch of other ideas that came out of this whole process where it was like, oh, maybe that's an idea, come back to it later. Because sometimes these ideas, you come back later and you're like, oh, no, that was not a good idea, and sometimes it was. And just like any other creative writing exercise, it's sometimes helpful to come back and revisit it when it's a little bit less fresh, and you can look at it with fresh eyes, or with eyes that aren't attached to the idea because it's a fresh idea, and just right now, I want to do it. Give yourself some space. Okay, so we had a list of functions to change based off of... Oh, no. That wasn't really on my to-do list. Yes, this one. Haha. I do want to come back and do this, because this was reviewing functions that might be affected by the whole 2.0 to 3.0 thing. But before that, we hypothesized that this is a good time to collect some miscellaneous data together. So, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and find those files. And in general, if you're on a Windows machine, you're looking at documents, or My Documents, depending on the version of Windows, Lord of the Rings Online plugin data. And then you're going to be like, oh, I accidentally moved all of my plugin data before the stream. I should put some of that back. And then you do that. Cool. And then you go into your account and your server, and for the deed tracker, we're looking at all characters. And that corresponds to the Turbine Datascope server directory. Oh, Little Redhead in chat says, yes, there's a Madam Society vendor in the basement, Bungo Putterfoot. He has Tom Bombadil's theme that you can slot into your house's music slot. I too am a fan of that music, though currently I think I still have the Yule music slotted into my my house, because I don't get to hear it very often. In Bombadil's house, I get to hear more often on average. So I just keep the Yule slotted in there. But I totally get it. The Tom Bombadil one is also fun. Casper, you are out of frame, just barely. You know that? You should move like 3 inches this way. Oh well. That's okay. You don't need to see my shoulder. Oh, okay. All right. Good job.
He's gonna get up in a minute.
He's gonna get up in a minute because someone's gonna go to the kitchen in a minute. That's okay. Maybe you can move your headphones a little bit further this way, and so he has when he's gone, then he has to move a little bit this way. All right. So in the deed tracker files, and in fact we don't need anything else right now, but we'll just keep it all here. In the deed tracker files, there's a division of files. There's the main settings file, and then there's the per character file. The main settings file, among other things, tells you what the names of the characters are, because that's a thing that the LOTRO API does not give us. So in this file, we can store each of the characters that you activate deed tracker on in this characters table, and that then we can look for a specific file name of deedtracker underscore cardata underscore that thing dot plugin data. The dot plugin data is handled by LOTRO though, so we just need deedtracker underscore cardata underscore name of character. This does fall apart a little bit if you do a character rename, but I never do, so it's fine. No, so there's some manual editing that needs to take place there. And what else do we have? Some server-wide things that don't belong in a character specific, like what do we think the cap level is? What do we think the cap level is for the legendary server? Is this a difficulty server? Is it a legendary server? Right now, it is true for both. If you are a legendary server, you are a difficulty server, and vice versa. But Standing Stone Games has talked about the idea of bringing difficulty, landscape difficulty, out of just being on Shadowfax and Treebeard and into the wider server population. So I've left it like that for now, just because maybe. Maybe it'll be available on Evernight or Crickhollow or any of these other servers I play on. And so having them 2 separate settings makes a lot of sense, even though these should always be the same thing in practice. All right, if you searched for something, we remember that when you reload the plugin, that search field is still there. And really that was more for a me thing, because I kept searching things and then needing to rewrite some code, so I reloaded, and then the search field was empty. I was like, no, I'm going to save that off, but I feel like it's fine to have it in there. And then what is the save file version that we assume all of these other files are in? Cool. Once we open up one of these other files, we have some of the stuff that we were talking about moving. We have selected tab. That should not be in this main folder. I think it should be under the UI stuff. Deeds, not a problem. Deeds completed, that needs to go away. And in fact, that could go away. Hang on, let me make a note to myself. Go ahead. It doesn't matter. It only matters for me. I'm the only person who's going to benefit. But add temporary code to delete, to set deeds completed to nil if we encounter it. And if a key entry is nil, it should not be written to the file. And so we can strip that out of the files that I have, because that's the only place we should see this, but it will affect me. And we can remove that later after I've had a chance to run it on my real plugin data files, which these are not. Okay, so that'll be gone. Class and race, we've already seen, along with level and vocation, needs to go into a single table. Debug. This, most people aren't even going to see, so it doesn't matter that it's here, and it has the debug information from the UI. And that was, again, a thing where I was reloading the plugin and having to retype in these things I was testing. Super annoying, and so I found it was easier to just save off these 4 fields if they were present. So that's fine to be at the top level. In fact, I like it at the top level. Unclear. This is the list of deeds that should be populated in the recently completed window. That's fine. UI, this is where I would like to put the selected tabs, I think. Need to double check that that won't break anything. Level needs to move. Quests, these are the conflicting quests with the same name as a deed. Quests with the same name as a deed, like Eyes of the Enemy, for instance, a Trollshaw's quest, which is also a deed in Moria, or Workslayer, which is a quest in the North Downs, and also the name of like 8 different deeds. Thank you, Turbine. So these, I think top level for that is fine as well. And when we're done with this, what we would like to see, let me go ahead and unload this before I play around. Like to see selected tabs under the UI. Then we'll have deeds. Deeds completed will be gone. Class and race will be under something. And level will be under something. So will vocation. So we'll just have these bigger tables. Quests, UI, uncleared, and deeds. I don't think that'll look very nice. And then if we have time after that, who knows what hijinks we'll get up to. Okay, so the first thing is that temporary code to get rid of the deeds completed, because that's just going to drive me batty if I keep seeing this. And we have the fresh, clean working directory. Yes. Well, more to-do file changes. Cool. Now we've got a clean working directory. All we have are the debug options. Super easy to back out any changes that we are not happy with. Casper was asleep in the bed, or under the covers of the bed when I went upstairs, so it wouldn't surprise me if he's slowly drifting off here. He doesn't seem too alert. Yeah, I see those eyes closing. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and find our migration code. Now, in this plugin, the migration happens in main.lua because this happens before we get any UI stuff like in main win. And if we search for version 3.0, we're going to find some good stuff. For instance, here's the 2.0 to 3.0 conversion code. Awesome. And as a practical concern, if you have versions of your save file and your plugin's been out there for a while, then chances are really good you should just leave your upgrade code in forever. Now, if you had some way to skip upgrades, like upgrading straight from 1 to 4 or 2 for 4 or whatever, maybe that'd be worthwhile. But what this does is if it finds a 1.0 version, it upgrades to 2.0. If it finds a 2.0, it upgrades to 3.0. And I would expect to keep adding new things to do. You know, oh, you're 3? Okay, let's go to 4. Oh, you're 4? Let's go to 5. So you can just do an upgrade all the way from version 1 all the way up to the present. And I think this would eventually, it probably already should be, extracted out to its own file. And just spitballing, what that would look like is I would want a global variable that says what is the current file level. And if we find a version, or well, if we don't find a version, we know we're not the right level. And if we find a card out of version that's not the right value, traitor. Yep, the cat has followed someone to the kitchen. Oh, what happens if this just gets a little bit closer to me? We'll find out.
As stated in the prophecy.
Yes, as stated in the prophecy, the cat has gone to the kitchen. So, okay, now I want to have some ideas here. File upgrade code. Idea. Don't load any of this if it's not needed. So what we would do is have a global variable with the current save data version. Only if the version in a file, the save file, doesn't match, then load the conversion functionality. Actually, I don't think that'd be too bad to implement. And that would make me much happier because A, main.lua is getting kind of ridiculously long. It's already half 1,000 lines. And B, how many of those are just this update process? It's in load data, but... Or is it in load data? Hang on, let me stop click and dragging. It is... Yeah. All right, so how many lines do we have? Oh, I lost it? No. Uncertain, but it's almost 10,000 characters. So I'm actually really tempted to do that. Because what we want to do is... Yeah, hoist out this conversion code, wherever it actually is. I may be looking too hastily. Okay, there's that else. Okay, so actually up to here. There we go. Okay. All of that. So, okay, 12,000 characters, however many lines. I'm actually not seeing a way to know how many lines it is there. So if I just pull off Sublime Text and check this out, we can see it's 220 lines or 12,000 characters, give or take. That just feels like a lot to always load every single time, even though 90%, well, after you do the conversion, it's not going to be used on that computer, on that server of LOTRO again. So you're going to use it at most, what, a dozen times? How many servers are there? Anyway, now, no, don't lose that. So now I'm actually really thinking that's a good idea. Because if I don't need it for this, I'll definitely want it for the next one. And, you know, what are the chances the save file format's never going to change again? Don't know. Okay, so, which do we do first? Ooh, kind of want to do it first so I can see this happening correctly when I make the other changes. If that's the case, what we're looking for is we have a globals file already. And I'm not a fan of global variables in general, but for constants and that kind of thing especially, it doesn't bother me too much. And so somewhere up near the top, let's open main.lua again and search for that 3.0. Okay, this right here, we want to go ahead and extract that out to something. I feel like I want it to be pretty high up, otherwise I would be worried about missing it. So, car data file version equals current car data file version. Okay, so we want to be using that anytime we actually see this v3.0. Okay, so let's take a look at this. If this is a new installation, set version to latest. Awesome. By definition, that's this. Okay, that's going to go away. That's going to not go away. It's going to move into a different file. Cool. Very good. And this should be actually hard-coded because this is the conversion from 2.0 to 3.0. If there's another version after that, then that'll be dealt with there. Just looking at this else branch. Sorry, I'm hearing noises, and I believe a cat just jumped into a box. Shocking. Alrighty. latest version. Okay, and then we have a file that specifically references a number. That's good. We need that to be like that. All right, so we need a new file, and we need to remember to include that file in main.lua. So let's go ahead and come on back down to this. We're doing, this is in the load data, but do we care about the name? Well, I do want to put it in the prior save formats folder because I think that's a lovely place to find it. So we make a new file, and this is save format update.lua. Something like that. I reserve the right to change my mind on that. But in the meantime, we can come in here, and we have... Oh, we're not actually looking to include it yet, but we will. Right, because we were already prior save. Yes, we were already doing conditional imports, so it would look like this. Great. Okay, so if car data version does not equal our current car data file version, then we want to do that import, although we need this to be the correct name here. So that's going to be save format update. Okay, and then we need to call a function that is defined in here. So function naming things is hard. Update car data, something like that. Well, the question is, are we iterating through things? We are iterating through a bunch of things. What do we need for this? What do we need? And I just spoke about the good ideas of setting your ideas aside and coming back to them to see if they're still a good idea. And here I am running rampant on a new idea, but it seemed like a good idea, so we'll see. Okay, so we're going to presumably take some number of parameters here. What? You're fine. Okay, so what we want is this, and what we need to know is what version was it at? So local old version equals, we're going to start with 1.0. The redhead says, I am doing /read next to Bilbo. He turns his pages faster. Is that Bilbo in the Hall of Fire? Oh, housing guard. Excellent. Well, he's got a lot of practice, you know. And at the very end of this, we're going to go ahead and return old version. And that will let us know whether or not we needed to do this. Because if it was a version 1, this is already done. Apparently. And version 2, we're going to iterate through each of the characters. Yeah. I should really comment this stuff. If the numerical index isn't present, remove this entry. If it is present, process this entry. Okay. And this only happens if... Oh, that's funny. It would also happen for 2.0 Plus. There's actually a bug here, but I don't think anyone's running on version 1.0 anymore. I hope not. That'd be very sad. So what we want to do is we want to hoist out this code. And we want to put that into the save format update. We do need a final end there. And so we need this old version to get properly updated. And we're probably going to have some variables that need to be passed in. So first of all, if this is... Hold on, one update. Okay, so this was version 1.0. Otherwise, if it was version 2.0, of course. Of course. So old version equals the 2.0. And then we're going to get a return value here. This is all 3.0 updates. And version 2.0 to 3.0 update code. Okay. Now we have a couple of syntax items being called out. Is save file present isn't being passed in? Probably seems like a good idea to do that. And we also want to go ahead and call that function. So we're doing prior save formats, save format update. And we're going to go ahead and pass in is save file present. Seems like it's being used. Is save file present? Now, because there's a lot of Lua going on in this project, it takes a little while for the IntelliSense to catch up. But let's just move on and see what else we see. Prior save formats indices. That's just a name spacing issue with this IntelliSense. Okay. And 2 more IntelliSense issues with that. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, is that it? This else needs to be if, oops. I'm curious if I care about whether it was already done in a version 1. It would make this code much simpler if we just say, hey, no one's on version 1. And if they are, it's a one-time deal. What is going on? All right. So let's go ahead and look at load care data within this functionality. In the, well, that was 2 to 3. Okay. If it is present, process the entry. This is already included in the above deed tracker car data file. Is it? Oh, yes. It was a part of the car data in the version 1. Yes. It doesn't seem like a problem to do it again. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Okay, so we're not going to care about what the previous version was. And in fact, I'm not going to care about tracking it in here. Am I? I mean, the code's already written. Nah, it's too fragile. If you forget to update that, you're going to get the wrong answer. Okay, let's get rid of it. Okay, so load character data for all known characters. And I don't even know if I need to this comment. Is this right? Maybe. But the good news is we have backups of everything. So what we have now is a function that takes in the is save file present. Does that matter? Okay, so if there's a save file present, we wanted to go ahead and back that up. Cool, yeah, before we make any changes. That makes sense. Then we go ahead and update version 1 to version 2. Great. We do our stuff. Version 2 to version 3. This is where we do all the things. And if it is a version 2 to version 3, now we have a nested import, which hopefully doesn't mess with the namespaces. We're going to find out. Great. Now, in order to tell if this is working, first of all, we should just load the detracker and find the syntax error that we just got. Awesome sauce. Let's do that. All right, main 203. I didn't actually save my globals file. Attempt to call save format update a nil value. 203. Of course, I didn't actually do it right. That was update car data. Let's go ahead and try that again. And you know, I don't know why it was trying to do that, so we should come back in here. Debug, and we want to get that data. And current car version. All right, let's go ahead and get that loaded. Oh, of course, it was a syntax error, not a runtime error. So that would have been caught on load. Great. I still want to keep this debug around. To do remove the following debug statement. Because sometimes we do want to output stuff, just not this one. Probably. Nah, I don't think so. Okay. So what we want is we want to get rid of our current version 3 files and drop back to some version 2 files that we have saved away. Easy enough. Bam, done. All right, so we just deleted all of the version 2 files. It's fine. And we just need to find our backups. So documents, plugging along. All right, we've got 2.0 save files. Great. We're just going to go ahead and copy these over and be prepared to copy them several times as we work through these issues. But come on into dtracker. All right, Cardata version 2.0, current char file version 3.0, upgrading save file format from 2.0 to 3.0, processing for alpha-del. Ooh, that's nice. Replacing a tall person's mount deed with a small person's mount deed, and that's it. Ooh, that's exciting. So we have a version 2 backup, but importantly, we see all the things in here that we were expecting to see, with the exception of that deeds cleared item that is no longer being included. Awesome. Okay, I was a little worried about that refactoring. Again, if you're doing a toolless refactoring, you've got to keep all the metaphorical balls in the air regarding it. I guess the cat's not coming back. So it's if you're doing refactoring and you're doing it toolless, at least try to do it like in one chunk. So you just have it all in your head. You don't get distracted. You don't look away and suddenly it's like, oh, what was I doing? But ideally, you can use some of the tools available to you, especially in more syntactically strict languages like C# and whatnot, where it feels like your refactoring tools have a lot to work with. And it's quite possible Visual Studio Code can do refactoring with Lua. I haven't tried it. I probably should try it, just so I know a little bit more about that side of things. But I have not yet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and unload all the plugins, come back in, and go ahead and restore my normal files here. I'm going to go back to the all character files and bring those back. Great. And the reason I'm doing that is this still has that deeds cleared thing, and I need it to go away. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close that down. Yeah, we've got deeds cleared. I need that to go away. So let's write some code that will clear that from my stuff at least. Okay, so now that we know everything is properly formatted, to do delete the following. It's just for B4's characters. Okay, what are we looking for? If cardata, oh, we want a loop. Actually, we do want this for each of them. So if that character data now has stuff, so char data, and what does it look like when we use char data? Just refresh ourselves. Looks like just that character name right there. So name. So if that dot deed complete. Oh, not sure how it's spelled. Let's come back up to the file. Deeds completed. If deeds completed. Then we're going to go ahead and say char data name.deeds completed equals nil. And that's it. Just set it to nil, walk away. When it gets serialized back out, it should get stripped. So let's give that a try. dtracker load. No, syntax error. That will get you every time. So we're coming back into line 219. Attempt to index field a nil value. Sure, I probably did something wrong then. Let's take a look at the character. Okay. It shouldn't be nil. All right, let's take a look at load car data. Maybe it's doing something different than I was thinking. Car data, car name equals deep copy. Fantastic. What's going on here? Well, now I'm curious. So So we're going to debug a dump of car.name. And names data. Not name. What am I doing? Name data. Okay, let's see what's going on under the covers here. All right, Arda's data is nil. It sure is. That's my bad. I only selected the one file for Affidel and not all of them. That's not gonna work. All right, we're gonna go ahead and fix that by bringing all these over, and I don't actually care about the backup files. I make them and then they don't do anything for me. But I hope they're never needed. Okay, let's come back. So if I had copied things over correctly, then I would not be getting this. Detracker, load. Okay, everything's loaded, and if I unload it all, then when we come back into our save file, this is Affidel's save file, what we're looking for is that deeds completed thing to not be here. Huzzah! Excellent. So that's the idea, is for each of these new things, we're going to put it in the place we want it and then set the current one to nil so that the cleanup happens. So it's not duplicated in both places. All right, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and mark that here. So yes, if the deeds completely exist, get rid of it. I don't think this needs to ship because only my files are going to have that. But I got to remember to actually load detracker on all the different servers I run it on so that code can run. And then that'll fix it. Or go manually fix the files myself, I suppose. That is nature of these tables. If new information gets in here, like testing equals true, then the next time this is loaded, that just goes into memory. And the next time this is unloaded, I would expect that to stay there. Testing equals true. There we go. So if something sneaks in here, it doesn't get cleaned up by this process. The process shoves the data into a table in memory, and the save process takes the data, table in memory and shoves it back into a file, which is why these things got in there in the first place. Because in-memory storage was a convenient place to store stuff. Okay, we're going to go ahead and come into to-do. We added the temporary code to set deed completed, blah, blah, blah. That's good. Okay, we did a lot. Let's go ahead and make a commit here because this is a whole bunch of changes. All right, so we need the current car data. We need that to-do file explanation. Okay, so move file upgrade code into file that isn't loaded if not needed. Great. So the current car data file version, we need that. And I'm worried we need a note there. Note. This determines if the file of mismatch with this determines if the upgrade file gets loaded. Okay. Let's go ahead and have that as well. We've got our new file, which is just a single function, which is just that functionality that we needed for the upgrade. Here, let's go ahead and commit this first. To-do file changes. If I was doing a more sophisticated job, I would have a separate platform on which to track bugs, features, and whatever instead of a text file in the same repository. But this is easy and simple. Move file upgrade code into file that isn't loaded if not needed. Great. So we have the globals here, and main, this is where the meat of it is. So let's go ahead and pop this open into a third-party comparison tool so we can just see it in another situation. So we are no longer doing the care data version. In fact, I can go ahead and just accept that. We have a whole lot of stuff that does not correlate. Let's go ahead and... Oh, hey, we have a to-do. Remove the following debug statement. That's a good idea. We should do that. To-do. Oh, of course. Remove the following debug statement. Great. Let's do that. All right, and we have the import and the end. Great. So if it doesn't match, import that and then run it. And that replaces all of this on the left, which moved. And we're going to make use of this looping code regardless of its version 1. Version 1 is too long ago, doesn't matter anymore. If someone's got it, then they'll have a slight performance degradation on the very first load. And my apologies. So, added some comments, and great. Don't commit that. Got it. Okay, that all looks pretty good. Let's come on back into our source control and do a piecemeal commit. So we want all of this, but we don't want the to-do file, the to-do block here. Delete that. We don't want to commit it. Everything else good? Oh, that's the wrong one. What about this? Yep, love it. So we have a little bit of a code to be deleted, which is just a maintenance bit, and we've got our globals debug options. So we're good. That's everything that was needed for that commit. And that'll make it a lot easier to separate out what we just did from what we're about to do, which is, again, mucking about with that new file. And so just moving stuff over, take the snapshot, take the commit, and then go into that file now that we have a baseline and start mucking with it so we can see exactly what changes we did. Otherwise, you're removing the code from one, you're adding it to another, and you're changing it. Good luck figuring out how that happened a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, when you're like, oh, I need to go look and see something about that. Well, it's going to be very hard to line up. I've been there. All right. In the do file, we have a couple of related items and one single item. Let's start with the single item first, selected tab. Now, to do this, let's go ahead and restore this to our, let's make sure we unloaded, and then restore this to our version 1. Oh, yeah, that's right there on the screen. I'm trying to find that folder. And then, just for completeness, let's load this up. I'm sorry, version 2. So what we want to do is take this UI. Well, that's funny. Are we already doing it? Nope, it's at the very top and I'm missing it. Great. What we want to do is we want to go in and we can collapse down if it allows us to collapse it. No, okay. We want to come on in. We have just made the Carnum UI. Great. And what we want to do is stop searching on Cardano. Let's get, we got UI, great. Okay, we're iterating through the deeds here. So if we collapse that down, here's the quests, okay? update the uncleared format, okay. And then let's go ahead and update the location of some variables that are in both 2.0 and 3.0. Yeah, thanks Moobot and Little Redhead for pointing out the plugins command over on Twitch. Alright, so we need to update the location of some variables. So what we're looking for is confirmation that, well, would it not be? I guess we should double check that it is. So if car data, car name, selected tab, then we want to go ahead and say that's actually going to car data, car name, UI, selected tab equals that. And then remember to clear that, we do need to set that to nil, so it does not get written back out when we're done with it. And the other thing is, we need to make sure anything looking at that knows about it. And this is where I was thinking about this last time, I ended up not doing it, but these places, like, there's a lot of places getting or setting the selected tab. And all of them now need to be changed, and we have to hope that we got them all. And this is where an accessor function that just took care of it might be nice. Okay, so we know these are fine. We know the to-do file is fine. And so what we have here is character UI selected tab, UI selected tab, UI selected tab. So that looks on the face of it like it should work. Now, I don't know if functionality-wise we've broken anything, but let's go ahead and give it a try. Yes, no issue there. Now, what we didn't check is what the value was. Selected tab 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, that's right. And if we unload and come on in here, we should see in UI there's now a selected tab of 6. Awesome. Let's run that again, but let's make sure if we load up a different selected tab that everything is still okay. So we're going to go ahead and copy those over. Let's get those down a little bit. Come on in here and selected tab we're actually going to say is 7 or Vanian. Okay, I didn't see that working. When in doubt, restore the information so that we can rerun this. All right, dtracker, rerun it. Processing. Okay. Unload. Selected tab. That's not working anymore. Why is that not working? UI selected tab. UI selected tab. Let's do a debug. Found car data, car name, and then that's going to be selected tab. And then we'll just go ahead and copy that in here. IntelliSense seems to be having a problem. I wonder if I've mistyped something. I did. Okay, forgot to restore the old test files. So we're going to need those. And come on back in here. Okay, found it. Why didn't you do anything with it? Okay, backup is that. This is actually very confusing to me. If we come on down here, we can see we're doing load data well before we do anything with the main window. Do we need to check for the UI? We explicitly create the UI. Get selected tab. I don't think that runs often enough that I care one or the other, but what is going on here? Missing symbol? No, that's fine. What is going on here? Okay, selected tab is being set. So is it being set 2 times? Is that the problem? Maybe it was already before and a random misordering of the file meant I didn't actually notice it. I'm going to hope that's the thing. So is that really all the uses of selected tab? It really seems like it is. Let's add some tracery here. So sometimes it's just nice to see when the functions that could change the thing you're talking about, when do those actually fire off? So we're going to go ahead and just list when it's happening first, and then we could do stack traces and whatnot if we had to. So we're going to go ahead and get selected tab. That shouldn't be changing it, obviously, but you know, whatever. And then we're going to go ahead and come on back into the upgrade system and just do it one more time. What's going on here? Okay, so replacing that, found car data, good. Get selected tab, FNO. Awesome. Okay, let's unload. We see no difference. Okay, just to verify, like, there is a difference between these files, right? I'm not going crazy. Yeah, there's a difference. Well, that's odd. I'm actually not convinced there's that much of a difference. Okay, we're doing something weird here because the update code isn't running correctly. So processing version 2 to 3, yeah. What's missing? Done updating selected tab. Sure. Tell me that. Done updating. Yes. Okay, just for funsies, let's go ahead and unload this. Okay, selected tab 2 is correctly getting saved. That selected tab is not. I think I need to do more thoroughness. So let's go ahead and say debug if carname equals affadil, then debug dump cardata carname. Which is going to be overkill. I really need something better than that. Not going to run if you don't fix the files. Okay. Well, could be worse. It actually all fit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select all of that and copy that into a more manageable system. And so if we put it into Sublime Text here, and just make it a little bit bigger, what we can do is things like open braces. Those are really going to start us some new lines, and that'll make this a little bit better. Actually, close braces might be a little bit more coherent. So close brace, go ahead and start a new line with that. My goodness. That didn't go nearly as far as I thought. I'm going to guess that I clicked one line too early. Okay, same basic idea though. Find a close brace and new line that. That is so weird. Why is it missing the first one? Well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't it? Okay, so we can see selected tab is still there. Not a fan. So really, I think maybe we just never were erasing it. I think I wrote the code wrong, and the random ordering of tables has thrown me off this whole time. Okay, I mean, not my favorite answer, but it's an answer. In which case, why? Let's really look at this. So debug, select a tab, and we're going to use the dot notation for a little bit clearer. Okay. Tell me more, system. What am I doing wrong? Surely must be doing something. There we go. No, I mean, obviously, that's what we would expect. Right here, 220. I forgot to wrap it around dump to protect ourselves from nil concatenation, which it just does not like. It's set to nil. It's set to nil. What am I missing? Okay, patch data save, scope server, that stuff right there. At that point, it should not be able to exist, and yet it does. Unless it's going to start working. Well, I am befuddled because now it's working. I don't know what I did to change it, but I didn't actually unload it. Well, that'll be a difference. Let's come back in here. Let's get this to be 7. Let's go ahead and load. 7, 7, nil, great. We're not looking at it. Selected tab is 7. But that selected tab is 6. Okay. Let's look at self.selected tab here a second. It should be getting something correct. Debug. Found a selected tab in save file. Oh, let's get an else in there so we know it failed. Didn't find a selected tab and save file. Okay, we'll do that. Just give me more information about what's not working here. Didn't find selected tab in save file. You're killing me. I put it there. Okay, what's going on? Let's pull this off if we can. Okay, what do we have? We have a character, we have UI, we have selected tab. Let's get a debug of dump of the card edit character UI. I know it says it doesn't find it. I gotta see this. Oh, and we should say didn't find a selected tab in save file for character. Oops. Great. And then why not? Let's go ahead and say dump UI data for character if car name equals Alphadil. Don't want all of these. Let's give that a try and see if that gives us a little bit more information. Okay, so don't think it did the upgrade. Let's go ahead and delete and redo it. Okay, it is a concern. Who are we doing this with? Because sure didn't seem... Wait, found care data. Okay, yeah. UI data for character. Where is it? Okay, this is bonkers. So we are seeing found care data. Okay, anything else? Any other place where that would be? No, just here. Okay, so found care data, affidavit selected tab. We say so. And we spit out the what it was. Is there a chance the UI's not there? No, because up here we say care data UI equals a new table. So we know definitionally we have that. This is bonkers. Usually when I'm having problems, it's not with the basic concept of, is the code doing anything? But sometimes it's just not running. And then it's usually because I wrote something wrong or I made some wrong assumptions. So this is really me saying, what did I do wrong? More than what's the code doing wrong. Okay, so we have UI selected tab equals null, UI selected tab equals 6. Selected tab equals 6, selected tab equals null. We can see that happening. And then right after that, we can see if car name equals affidil. Yep, I did something wrong. I didn't actually wrap that in a debug statement. That will not get to the screen. And yeah, I don't think it's going to actually help based off the information I've seen here. And yet. Okay, let's go ahead and reload this. All right, selected tab 6. I do see it in there. UI data for affidil, we can see selected tab. It's not actually that hard to see it. Selected tab equals 6. Great. The only thing else I want to see here is, does it see it if the selected tab is not 6? Let's say 7, for instance. Let's pull this back up. 7 and load. Okay, selected tab equals 7. All of that is great. And so the real thing that's not happening here is this get selected tab here. We're overriding with the default because we're not finding it. Why? Why not? So let's go ahead and pull this up a sec. Make this a touch wider. And say, okay, we have a character. Didn't find a selected tab in save file for character affidil. You know what? you know, I say it all the time, let's surround that variable with double quotes, make sure we're not getting some sort of white space nonsense going on here. Found a selected tab in save file. That's good. You'll find it the second time around. Okay, we're not going to get bit by a white space issue. It just says affidel. A bunch of other things would be broken too, but it's nice to double check. Okay, so we have card out a character. Okay, this I'm comfortable is no longer needed because we are getting the stuff we need. Okay, same thing with this. The value is being set. We're not retrieving it correctly. Okay, I'm assuming since it didn't find it that it actually isn't there. That part of the lookup I have confidence in. Yeah. So no selected anything. Why? What's happening to character care data UI especially? I could have some code in there that assumes that we only have numerical indices. That would actually be a thing that I would expect. All right, so let's just look at some of the usage of this thing because I'm obviously overwriting the data at some point. There we go. No, and just checking for no. So set region expanded is a place where if UI is nil, then it would do that. So that's, you know, a concern. Okay, ignore any turbine.uis conveniently. Okay, more turbine.uis. Great. And that's it. I have to assume that I'm overwriting something somewhere. And in the three places where we have this, we set it to empty. Well, let's just give us some debug output. Debug. Detract when set region expanded. UI table was empty, was nil, setting to new table. Okay, what else do we have that? In check care data. Okay, and here in the update, why not? All right, show unto me, what am I doing wrong? Because this is frustrating. Okay, loading on up, converting from 2 to 3. UI is brand new, setting a new table, great. Get selected tab, didn't find a selected tab in save file for character. That's really bonkers, is what it is. That's bonkers. But we're doing a patch status save. So what I would like to do is really quickly, when it gets saved, check to see what's the status there. Okay, so we're looking at the affidel. Great. So after a couple seconds, this should automatically load. Okay. So we just have selected tab underneath UI. So it is there. Is the problem, okay. I think I know what it is. I think it was this code that I thought should go ahead and always run. I think it's a problem. Loading the character data for all known characters. Is that even necessary anymore? And here's the problem, is if we're doing load character data, are we loading from a file that hasn't been written to yet because of that delay? If name equals affidel, nope, affidel, then debug dump something. Affidels, whatever this is. Affidels select tag before loading. And we're going to go ahead and concatenate in. That shouldn't be a dump here. Dump. And that's going to be character data name dot UI selected tab. And that's after loading. Okay. This could just be a race condition that I introduced by always doing this. I think that was a mistake. I think understanding is starting to happen, which is nice. Hey, or there'll be a syntax error, which is nice in a different way. Attempt to index field UI a nil value. Yeah, that'll do it. That's it. Okay, so before, this function was loading character data for all known characters. And I think the reason this is important is to get the character data for other characters? No, I mean, what happens if we just don't do this? Like, that's my first question, is what's even the point of that? Okay, I'm going to have to reset the files. And then I'll have to load, maybe have more than one file, but... Hey, found a selected tab. Oh my goodness. Is that it? Is that whole block meaningless? What's it even doing here? I'm going to change that starting value to 7. Okay. Gate tracker, load it in. Look at it, starting in Rovanian. Oh my goodness. Yes, so in the load character data, because we hadn't actually, that file hadn't been successfully written out yet, we were loading old data, and that includes, yeah, okay, that was definitely broken. Question though, what's up with car data, and did we need to do this someday? So, car data. So we go ahead and save stuff out. Okay, we load the character data, and we immediately save out a backup of that. And this is during the update. Okay, so if we didn't do an update, then we need to do this. This should be an else. It probably wasn't an else. I bet this would do poorly if I reloaded it. Yeah, okay. I believe a cat is snoring. Excellent. I thought it was exciting. Okay, so we're going to come back into main window and stop. Won't matter anymore. No, okay. We're going to be very happy that we have source control so that we can easily roll back all the things that we do not want. But first, let's come in here and go ahead and load this up. And we can see, bam, we're loading into Rovanian. Awesome. If we unload and then reload, oh hey, there was an error. Awesome. 214. What do we got? Main.lua 214. Attempt to index field. Yeah, okay, because we haven't loaded it yet. Let's start removing some of the scaffolding I was using to test right after we get this loaded again. Awesome. Okay, so let's come in and look at this chaos. So we have save file format. What went on here? All right, we deleted some white space. I don't actually care about that right now. Okay, so debug, we don't need that anymore. What do we have here? Update the location of some variables. Yeah, let's fix that. So this was actually a bug with the refactoring we did before. That's kind of why I wanted to do that first, because I knew we were going to be hammering this code in the process of testing this. And if we missed something during that, it seemed likely to come to play. It absolutely did. So frustrating, but effective. Okay, let's go ahead and double check. We just have that little change. We're not going to deal with that yet. Main. That's where our actual change is. Okay, main window. We have debug. This is 72. Let's go take a look at that. All right, debug, 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 debug. Let's take a look. So we added this. Is the UI existent? I don't think that's a big deal. not for what we're looking for. So we're adding UI into UI and UI. Perfect. For the new stuff. Oh, there's another debug at 108. Don't want that. In fact, that can go back to being a single line. Great. And then 689, debug, and great. So we're back to just the UI changes. Lovely. And we can get rid of this debug statement. So UI changes, awesome. This is the bug fix, and then UI changes. So let's go back in here, and after we removed all those debug statements, we'll run through the whole upgrade one more time. Okay, so we can see we're in Ravanian, great. Looks like everything got saved, and if we come look for selected, what? Phew, okay. It hadn't been saved yet. I gotta remember that delay. Okay, good. I'm very happy with that. Unload and reload and no syntax errors. Awesome. Okay. Phew. So we have this bug fix. Let's look at it with the white space lined up a little bit better. We can see all of this should have been in an else branch. In fact, for easy committing, let's go ahead and delete this and undo it so it's still in that program. And it'll be easier for this to be a commit. Fixed bug, the reloading of all the characters should only happen if we didn't just do an update. Fantastic. And then let's come back into our Beyond Compare, save off that, and then we just have that little bit. Sometimes that's easier than trying to manually select lines to commit. Just remove the stuff, the offending stuff, do a block commit, and then put the offending stuff back. Especially when you're doing indents and outdents, because those some tools just really struggle with, and sometimes it's visually very cluttered. And so if there was an indent plus a code change, just get rid of the code change, just deal with the indent first. Okay, so we have our to-do delete the following, just for my stuff. Okay, now we can go ahead and do this stupid thing I've been struggling with for way too long, which was move selected tab into UI section of save file. Great, let's do that. Okay, moved selected tab into UI section of save file. Great, do that. And 1, 2, 3 here. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Good. I thought I remembered 4 of those. Phew. Okay. Don't need to commit that one yet. Oh my goodness. Well, due to that race condition, implementing that was much more of a struggle than I thought it was going to be. But the good news is, by working through that, we found the race condition, we found that issue, and then we can come through and do the rest of these really fast. Update the location of... no, we can just do this. Okay, so we know we want to do race, class, level, vocation. Let's make sure we spell those correctly. Where's my text file? There we go. Okay, so class level looks like we've got all caps. So we're going to do something very similar. If car data, car name, class, then we got to think of a name of something, of a place to put these. So what we want is car data, car name, something equals a new table. Naming things is hard, but we know this is going to hold on to race, class, level, and vocation. I mean, it really feels like character information. What would a local player is what we would call this in the API. Let me just grab that. So this is gameplay, local player details, maybe. So player details? No, character details? Character details, data, character info. Let's start with character info. Do I love that or hate that? Character info for class, level, race, and vocation. I mean, all of this is character info. That's the problem. The deed you completed, that is information about your character. But I think it is hopefully not too ambiguous. Let's start with that. Okay, so we have a new table called character info. If we have a class, then we're going to go ahead and set that in character info equals. Now, this is the kind of thing where we could have a function to do this, right? Like we have the thing over here, we have the destination. We just want to do the one and then the other. This might be worth extracting out in just a moment. Maybe. Let's play with this for a minute. I'm already regretting saying that. If the thing, then the new thing. Let's look at a function for that. Function move save entry source destination. Okay, so what would this look like? We would want a function. We're just going to copy this out here. So if this, we can actually include that. If source, then we have a destination, source destination and key, I think. Okay, so if source dot key if source bracket key, then destination bracket key equals source bracket key, and source bracket key equals nil. That seems pretty simple. And what would that look like? That would look like move save entry of from car name to character info with the key of class. That seems better. And I think that's good because we can also use it here. So instead of class, that'd be selected tab, and that's going to be located in UI. So UI selected tab. So we can actually simplify that as well. Okay, I already feel better about that. And the last three, we had class, race, level, and vocation. And we can actually see if that works. We can go ahead and reset, come back in, and take a look at this. So we've loaded it up, and we're going to unload. And what we haven't done is made sure that the UI, like the code knows about this, right? But we have character info here, race, level, class, vocation. We also have that information outside because the code doesn't know about this yet. But the moving, that works. Selected is still in the UI, awesome. So this is very promising. Now we just need to find those places that access this information and fix them. Okay, get class, awesome. So if we have this, and this is where we need that character info. Same thing for vocation. Actually, we can see it right here. Let's go ahead and just do that. It's very tempting to use the dot notation for this access. I'm going to resist that temptation for a minute, but I might be back. All right, cat's out of the box. Thank you. That was very sudden of you. Did you just wake up? All right, we had 2 sleeping cats. And get level. All right, same thing. And we can see here, they, or perhaps I, actually did the same thing, where we succumb to the dot notation. I'm going to go ahead and undo that for a minute. Hey, you want to come up? You just want a scritch and then walk away? Okay. There's room. Yeah? No? Uncertain? Hey. Okay, you just use that as a bridge. Great. Well, why not? Okay, so now we can see the or notation here actually is a newer thing that hey, you're back. What's up? Yeah. All right, we're gonna pause on the coding for a minute. Yeah, this is weird. Oh, you're gonna come up. All right. That's my water glass. And I'm just gonna pick that up for a minute. Fantastic. Hi. Yeah. Are you going to help me with this coding problem? Maybe? Nope, you're out. Yeah, I don't blame you. Okay. Here, I'm going to... Hi. Yeah, I know. Not your favorite. All right. Really? Okay. All right, you just sit back there. You have a good time with that. Okay. So this newer syntax for A or B, where it'll go, the code can go ahead and say, is this thing existing or is it nil? And I think I like that better. I haven't gone ahead and back trace that into these other more explicit if blah then use blah. And I think I should. They're all numbers. Am I going to do that right now? No, but I'm going to go ahead and make a note to myself for a minute. Code like this, switch to A or B. C, get a level. Okay, I got a note for later. In the meantime, we can see we have this character info for class, character info for class. What else? Check character data. Yeah, we need to go ahead and add this in as well. This is where we would want to pay attention to if the level is lower than we expected, or if the vocation is different than we expected, that we go ahead and do something with that. But we're not there yet. All right, and then move save entry, done. Okay, that's a language, that's fine. And then that's the actual language strings. Okay, so we're all good with that. So class, we want vocation the same way. Just in case there's any other places that we use that. Vocation, vocation, character, oh, hey. Vocation. Why though? We should just use get vocation. That way we can spoof things out if we need to. We can set vocation, we can set this value during a debug session or something else. And as long as everything's going through this get vocation call, we're good. Okay, so that's good. We had class, we had vocation, now we need race. All right, so character info. Yep, that's just the to-do. Character info, and good. All right, and finally level. Looks like we've got the same thing here. Character info. Yep. Level changed. All right. Character info. Awesome. So at that point, all 4 of those should be good. We did class, vocation, race, and level. Odd order. So we're going to come into undo. We're going to go ahead and redo this conversion. Okay, and oops, go ahead and unload here, force a file save. And if we come to our file here, character info now has race, level, class, and vocation. And if we check other things, we can see we're back down to deeds quest, uncleared, UI, character info, and the debug. And so this feels like a much better structured file. You know, things are in their place. We don't have a bunch of random stuff at the top level. And if we need to store more character info, it's not going to get even worse. It's just going to go where it needs to go right here. So I really like this. I like that we were able to make a function to avoid some copy paste error in the 3rd or 4th block. That was very nice. The function is not checking the existence of the source and destination. So if you pass it a destination that doesn't exist, but we know it does, then you are going to get into trouble. But it does check the availability of the source key. So I think I'm comfortable with that. Because if you didn't just make the destination or ensure it's correct, I feel like that's on us. And we're the only ones calling this, and this function doesn't even exist unless you're doing an update. It's great. It's great. Let's go ahead and load and double check. Okay, I'm very happy with that. Okay, now's a good time to collect miscellaneous data together in a single table. Race, class, level, vocation. Done! And file upgrade. Don't load any of this if it's not needed. Yeah, we did that. Have a global variable with the current saved data version. Only if the version is different. Yep, it did that. Let's just make another commit here. We're approaching the end of the time slot for myself. I've been a bit of a quiet day here, and that's totally okay. But if you do have any last-minute thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, now's a great time to start typing those into chat. All right, we're going to go ahead and make a commit here. That's just the temporary one. Okay. Okay, moved class, race, level, and vocation into their own save file location. Stage, stage, stage. That's good. We'll hold off on that for a minute. Here, yes, that's good. And that's good. Fantastic. We're going to go ahead and commit that. We're going to come back in, fixed vocation, fixed lookup of vocation to use a helper function. Cool, because that's conceptually different. Okay. Well, we have a minute here. I am very tempted to come back in here and do something about this. So that or 0. And I know this is going to be a number. So let's coerce it into a number if it's not. Same thing with vocation. If it's not nil, use it, or 0. And same thing, we'll coerce it to a number. I'm comfortable with that. We'll go ahead and do the same thing for race. Race over 0, and coerce. And we already had that with levels. Now these all look the same. Now, I don't want to just blindly do that, so we are going to go ahead and make sure we've unloaded. Force a full upgrade from 2 to 3. Everything seems fine so far. What we're going to do is first unload, and then reload, and then tell it that I've leveled up. Level 76. Level. The tracker thinks you've changed to level 76. Awesome. Let's come on into, actually let's come on into level 70. Come on into Shadows of Angmar. 65. Okay, it's... Oh, I hit the wrong button. Haha. Okay, so minimum level 70, so it looks like the level accessing is correct. It's a little bit trickier to test things like vocation or race. I don't have the ability to change those right now because it hasn't really been a concern. Race change could be interesting. But that's for a future day, I think. Okay. Regardless, our character info is still here. That is lovely. So much tidier. And we're going to go ahead and save that off. Okay. Simplified initialization of a few variables. And I'd like to get better at using that syntax. That's part of why I wanted to do this in the first place. Is I think the syntax is cleaner and easy. You know, anytime you're writing the same thing twice, which we're doing exactly in this check, if the thing, then set the thing equal to the thing. We're just asking for a copy paste error where we update one thing but not the other. We're asking for a mismatch in the two, so you check one thing and assign the other. And even if the other thing that you assign is correct, now you've got a chance for nil access. So assuming this works the way I think it does, and I think it does, then that is what I'm interested in. I'm interested in doing that more than I have been, because I feel like it's cleaner to read this, and yeah, fewer possible mistakes, fewer just typos, whatever. So I would like my nil checks to be more in line like this. Okay, coming back into fork. We have that to-do item, we have these changes, simplified initialization, and I think we're done. We've got this outstanding to-do because these aren't my real save files. I need to actually load them up before I can get rid of that. But at the start of the next stream, we're just going to nix that and it'll be done. And we're getting so close on this to-do. Like I keep adding things and removing things, but we removed a big one there, cleaning up the file. And so we're going to, next week, look at, just double check that all of these functions have been addressed. I think the answer is yes, it's done, but we do want to kind of revisit and make sure that we haven't left some bit in there that just isn't right anymore. Same thing with this, well, rerunning the 2.0 to 3.0 upgrade, we've been doing that all of today. Like I've done that, I don't know, 20, 30 times. Perfect. Someone suggested having a script to do the downgrade from 3.0 to 2.0, and I'm hesitant to ship a script file, but I could put the actual, here's what you would need to do to put, you know, here's what you would need to put into a script on the help file website or something, or even you can download it here, but yeah, something goes wrong, it's on you. But this would only work if you're willing to downgrade the D-tracker itself, which you might very well be. But that's the temporary solution, because the D-tracker will keep marching forward, and that 2.0 format is going to get increasingly out of date. It's fine. If you never get to Gundabad or beyond, then you won't be missing new deeds, I suppose. But yeah. And then the final thing is that I would like to revisit before doing a release is the ordering in-game, which if you have been an eagle-eyed viewer, you'll notice in Eriador, Swanfleet and Cardolan went on the end because there was no precedence for inserting things in the middle. It's never happened before. New regions have always come on the end in my limited experience, right? We got Vales of Anduin was probably the first expansion after I started playing, and then Wells of Langflood, Elderslade, Blood of Azog, and Gundabad. Same thing with the instances. War of Three Peaks and the Mountain Hold came at the end, and so it just didn't occur to me to even think about supporting inserting these in the middle. And with all this reformatting, I think maybe it's now more possible than it's ever been. So that's a thing to think about. It's not a showstopper, though. It's one of those, I want to do it eventually, but it's not a showstopper. If I can't do it really easily, that's fine. It'll just be at the bottom. But it's one of those things that's it's in the back of my head, because if you go to Eriador, Swanfleet and Cardolan is the 4th tab, and if they continue to backfill regions, with Yondershire, they just put it into the Shire tab, right? So I didn't even have to worry about it. It's just, there's more Shire stuff. So if they come in and they insert another region somewhere, it's just gonna get more of a problem. This is the Vanguard. What I think is actually going to happen is we've been teased new region south of Gondor. And so my question is, a lot of room in Gondor. Would this just become Gondor and beyond? And any exploration into Harad just go into the Gondor page? Gondor Plus? Because we're actually also running out of room for tabs up here. So would you have a whole new tab at the top for like a single page to begin with? I don't know. So many questions. Oh, hey Caspar. Hey. All right, I'll pause my rant for a sec. Yeah. Neither of these two cats is very good at receiving pets. They get like stimulated and then they gotta move. And so I was just scratching for a while and he seemed to like it and then he left. Yeah, that's fine. They have their own moments when they want it. So yeah, that's my current theory. Like my current, if I had to bet 5 cents on it theory, is that Gondor is going to hold Gondor and south, and Harad will come into here. And yeah, that's my current theory. Because they just don't have a lot of space here. That being said, when they added in, I want to say when they added in Gundabad, they made the window for the deed log wider to accommodate it, but they didn't actually change the deed log itself. So that's why we have these black borders here. Those did not used to be there. And it's also why the X button is where it is. It, by all rights, should be tied to the upper right corner of the window, but it's actually tied to where the upper right corner of the window used to be. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they revisited the deed log, or if that's been in the works for a while, and the deed log got revamped visually with the to accompany the release of new content. So that would be my other thing. Is it seems like this was a partial work in progress just to make progress, and so I would bet that the fall release, again, 5 cent bet, 10 cent bet, not a very large bet, but I would bet that the next major release this fall will include a revamp of this window in some way, if only to make that page look wider and to not have the black borders on the edge. That's my second small bet of the evening. So we'll see. Okay, I think we are good on code. I think we are good on changes in our working directory. I think we're good altogether. Night's fallen here in Glen Helig, and I think it might be time for me to go harass a cat or get dinner or some combination of those two. Alright. Didn't see any final questions or comments popping in. Oh, Guar says thanks. I really enjoyed the stream. Well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're here to share it with me. Awesome. Yeah, that's going to be all. That's all we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. Despite the, 45 minutes of frustration there, I think made some good progress. And, that's sort of the nature of coding in general. Plugins in specific is sometimes you just come across a problem that seems impossible. I set the variable is not set, what's going on? And yeah, sometimes you can just plow through it like we did tonight. Sometimes it helps to take a step back. And as always, we have our source control. So if we had to step back to where we started today, undoing some of those commits, we could have done that and said, okay, was this happening then? Okay, it wasn't. Step forward through each of those commits. I just plowed through it, but we have multiple possibilities here. But that kind of thing happens so often when developing code is, I said it's X, and now you're saying it's not X. What's going on? Or similar things. This one was a surprising one for me. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I do hope to see you next week. As Little Red had mentioned, the United States is going into daylight saving times. Most of the United States is going into daylight saving times. There are a few saner places that don't. Good job, Arizona, I think, and some Indian reservations. And anyway, but for most of the Americas going to daylight saving time, and this stream will be is still at server time, whatever that happens to be, and server time follows daylight saving time. Check your local server for what time it is, and we'll see you at the same time next week. And until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.